5.5 million in the bank, a double game week ahead. These are the players you gotta buy ahead of game week 32. Welcome to the Gianni YouTube show. Hope you guys are good and you had a good game week 31. In today's show, we're going to be looking at the must-have Crystal Palace and Newcastle options. We're going to talk captaincy, not just for this week, but ahead as well. And we're going to talk about a couple of differentials that are delivering as well. So look, without further ado, let's have a quick look, shall we, at how I got on in game week 31. Look, if you were on wildcard, you probably had Gvardiol, Arsenal defence, and Jacob Murphy. 3 players I don't have, right? Arsenal defence, loads had double Arsenal defence, clean sheet wipeout. That was good for me. What was really bad for me, and hopefully good for you guys, was you had Gvardiol and you had Jacob Murphy. And in a way, that got you a very big score. That saved your game week. We saw blanks from Salah, Palmer, Saka, Son, Isak. All the expensive players blanked. All the captaincy options blanked. But hopefully you had a couple of players getting big scores. I was fairly happy with my week, even without Gvardiol and Murphy, because Livramento came in for 11. He was my move last week. Munoz's 8 was good. But again, everyone has Munoz. But 1 in 5 at my rank have Livramento, as we can see from the graphic there. Mateta scoring, Evanilson 2 for owners. So fairly happy. Payne on the bench with Morgan Rogers. And Morgan Rogers we're going to talk about later in more detail, because ahead of double game week 33, I think you should all be bringing Morgan Rogers into your team. Let's have a look at the Ben Crennan fixture ticker. This is a fairly updated version, the most updated there is. We can see the confirmed doubles of 32 and 33 now. I'm still planning to wildcard in 34. We know there'll be a double in 36. The teams that double in 36 will blank in 37. Many will be on free hit 34, and that absolutely will work. But we've got to look forward to doubles, not just this week for Palace and Newcastle, but Palace double in 33, City, Aston Villa and Arsenal all double in 33 as well, which is fairly juicy. But look, let's concentrate on this week, shall we? I tweeted about just game week 32 fixtures. Just interesting that Palace have 2 away games, and they are tough away games. These away games for Palace in this double, the expectation has to be reduced, because 1, they're away from home, and 2, they're playing 2 teams that are considerably higher in the table. Like, Glasner can get bonus for both these fixtures. Now, we know you get bonus with your assistant manager chip when you beat teams that are 5 places or more above you, or draw with them. Now, Glasner will be able to get bonus for the Man City game and for the Newcastle game, which is what it shows how difficult. If Palace get 2 draws, they'll be delighted. Of course they will be. Newcastle, on the other hand, have 2 very winnable home games. Because St James's Park effect, Newcastle flying high. They've just won 3-0 against Leicester. They've won the Cup. Their form is there. I absolutely like these fixtures for Newcastle, and I think expectations should be higher for Newcastle assets. If you can only bring in, if you've got 5 players from these 2 teams, or 4 players from these 2 teams, and you're going to bring 1 in this week, make sure it's a Newcastle player. You have to have triple Newcastle this week. Murphy, Isak, Livramento are the obvious. You could go double defence with a Burner or a Pope in there as well. Gordon feels too risky now. He wasn't in the matchday squad. Guys, if you're enjoying the video, please do hit that like button, but also subscribe to the channel. I'd love you to hit that subscribe button. I'm here in Tuscany still doing videos. It's 8 AM and I still want to make sure I give you my team selection really early this week. The Premier League table is interesting, and I want to just draw our attention to a couple of teams in Newcastle and Crystal Palace, because just to show what Newcastle are playing for. And I've taken this from Google because it also shows the last 5 games with a really easy animation there with ticks and crosses. Newcastle have won 4 of the last 5. They're flying high. Top 5 gets you Champions League football this season. England have done so well, the Premier League teams have done so well in the coefficient. The top 5 gets you Champions League. We saw that last year with Serie A. Newcastle are backing themselves for 5th, aren't they? Like, they fancy their chances. And between Newcastle, Man City, Aston Villa and Chelsea, it's up for grabs. 2 from 4 there, probably. But then you look at Crystal Palace. Now, remember, Newcastle and Palace have a game in hand on these other teams. So if Palace win their game in hand, it's 46 points. They'll fancy their chances of getting top 8. Now, top 8 will get European football, possibly even more. So, again, Palace, recent form. Check out the last 5 fixtures. They've won 4 from 5. Now, they're playing teams, right, Or Newcastle are playing Man United, who have won 2 from 5. Newcastle and Crystal Palace are playing Man City, who have only won 2 from 5 as well. Like, they will fancy their chances versus the Manchester teams because it's what they can do. So just a really interesting take that on the table on what's to play for. You've got to think the league's wrapped up by Liverpool and Arsenal, yeah, not a huge amount to play for. But then, and Forest probably Champions League should be safe. But then you look from 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. These are teams I think we can target on things like double game weeks as well because you just go so much in the mixer. You look at teams like Brentford, Man United, Tottenham. You could argue they might be on the beach very, very soon. Let's see. Guys, stop what you're doing. If you're not already using the OneFootball app, get it on your phone. It's free. It takes seconds. There's a QR code on screen. There's a link in the description. There's a pinned comment. Click, download, and love the OneFootball app for football team news, for fixtures, for data, for results, for video clips of all the games and mini highlight packages. It's all there on the OneFootball app. Not just the Premier League, Champions League, Serie A, all the leagues. It's a brilliant football resource. It's free. It's a no-brainer. Get it on your phone. Okay, we'll see my team in just a sec, but first, the Aston Villa fixtures are worth noting because they play Wednesday night Champions League, Tuesday night Champions League. That is 2 of the biggest games of the season for Aston Villa in a 7-day, 6-day window. And with that in mind, that Southampton game, because it's a Wednesday-Tuesday turnaround, not a Tuesday-Wednesday turnaround like, say, Arsenal, for example, the recovery time is so short. The players are so tired. Surely that Southampton fixture sees mass rotation. And players like Morgan Rogers and Ollie Watkins, I don't think are safe for Saturday the 12th of April. So just want to note the fixtures and the dates for Aston Villa. Now, with that in mind, when we see my team, you're going to see Morgan Rogers benched again, and I've had bench pain from Rogers. In Game Week 30, I had 11 points on the bench. In Game Week 31, I had 9 points on the bench. It's so frustrating because I know how good he is, and everyone goes, oh, how can you bench Rogers? And I'm like, dude, you don't even own Rogers, so don't at me. Like, Rogers is a brilliant resource, and you can't criticise me for benching him if you don't even own him. And I benched him for Enzo, for example, who did score in Game Week 30 and matched his points, give or take. So, yeah, that's where we're at. Let me know your Rogers take below, guys. All I'd say is after Game Week 32, in 33, he does have a double game week. And that double game week for Morgan Rogers, I really like. It's Newcastle at home, Man City away. Now, you might say they're 2 really good teams. They are, but Aston Villa are flying at the minute. And when we saw that Premier League table, you'll see Aston Villa's form is sensational. They've won 4 from 5 as well. I fancy Morgan Rogers for that double game week, especially if he is rested for Southampton. You look at players like Ollie Watkins, you look at players like Rashford, share of minutes. That's Saturday the 12th of April game versus Southampton, by the way. One player I can tell you who will start that football match if you want a 1-week punt. And that is Marco Asensio, ladies and gents. He cannot play those 2 PSG games we can see, right? Parent club, Champions League, can't play against your parent club. So Asensio definitely starts Southampton, which could be fine. And he could be good for the double game week too. So just want to shout out Asensio there. But let's move on and see my team, shall we? So let me go through it for those listening on podcast. And if you're enjoying the show, thank you for liking and thank you for hitting that subscribe button. So many don't realise that they're not subbed. And actually, you can control that YouTube algorithm by just liking and subscribing the shows and channels you like the most. And then rather than being showed random rubbish videos all the time, you'll get shown ones you have an interest in. So yeah, cheers team. Pickford in goal. I could transfer Pickford out this game week, so let's just put a question mark by Pickford, shall we? Fabianski next to him on the bench, whatever. My starting defenders are Burn and Livramento, both with the double game week. I like that very much. They both got clean sheets versus Ipswich. I fancy 1 clean sheet in the double for them. And then Munoz, who just flies forward as the best attacking defender. I've had him since game week 20. 8 points last time out. Mikolenko and Rico Lewis still on the bench. Right. Midfield 4. It's Palmer. It's Enzo. 2 brilliant fixtures. Chelsea have to beat Ipswich at home. And I like these 2 for this fixture. Let's see how they look on Thursday night. It's Sarr with a double game week. Eze's been the better shout, but Sarr's so cheap you can't complain. And then Salah with a single versus West Ham is still a really good fixture. You look at the players with single fixtures in my team, and you look at Marmoush, and you look at Salah, and you look at the Chelsea lads. And it's fine. They've all got good fixtures. So up front, it's Marmoush, Mateta, and of course Isak, who now isn't flagged. And we'll talk about Isak in a minute because I need to show you some more info with captaincy. So Isak, Mateta, Marmoush is the template front three. It's the midfielder I guess I'm fairly excited about, and it's the single game weekers in a way I'm excited about because that's where I think I'll get my gains. I need Murphy to be quieter than Newcastle defenders because Murphy outscored them big time against Ipswich, certainly the likes of Dan Burn. So this is where I'm at with my team, where I could make a transfer. And I've got 5.5 in the bank and 1 free transfer. Now I know going into the double I'm going to want to bring in 2 Arsenal players. I just don't quite yet know if those Arsenal players are going to be in for, say, a Dan Burn next week for an Arsenal defender, because Dan Burn has Aston Villa away in a single game week, or Palmer out for Saka, or I could this week just go Raya in, because I know I want Arsenal defensive cover anyway. Pickford to Raya is a legit move. The only thing is, I actually fancy Pickford to keep a clean sheet as much as Raya this week. Nottingham Forest away, they've slowed down a little bit. Pickford's only conceded 1 against Liverpool and 1 against Arsenal. We could keep a clean versus Forest. I'm tempted to keep Pickford, and then give myself more options and be more flexible for next week by having 2 free transfers. If an injury pops up or anything like that, I can be a bit more responsive. And with so much in the bank, I could go someone like Enzo into a Saka with a little bit of work elsewhere. I need to save a little bit of money. So there's options there with my team next week. More options if I roll the transfer. So I think I'm likely to roll. Now, captaincy, let's discuss. Let's come away from my team. And I've got some interesting stuff to show you. So don't go anywhere and stay tuned for this, because I know what you're all thinking. We're captaining Isak. We don't need to listen to Gianni here. Well, this isn't just about this week. This is about the next few weeks. So firstly, I want to show you this scout grab from the members area of Isak versus Mateta. These are the 2 captaincy options for 32. No one's going outside of these 2, are they? Like, you're not going single game week Salah against West Ham. You could back against Isak and Mateta with other Palace and Newcastle players. I just don't like it. I like these 2 very, very much. Now, they've had the same amount of starts all season. I think it's 27. Very similar minutes. Look at this. Every attacking stat pretty much. Goal attempts, chances created, bonus points is. Big chances is fairly close. Penalty area touches, shots in the box goals. Isak smashes Mateta. And Mateta's a really good forward in his own right, but Isak, hands down, the better option. Of course he is. Isak also has better fixtures in 32. Of course, we're captaining Isak. So when we see a Twitter poll that I put out recently, this was the poll on Isak. And he said, I don't think, Eddie Howe, post-match, I don't think we'll have to manage him from this point onwards. There was a lot of talk, will Isak start versus Leicester? And a lot of rumours saying he won't be risked. He trained on the Sunday and Howe said he was 100%. So he therefore started versus it on Monday night. And after the match, he came out the game well. It was said he's going to start. It was said his minutes are going to be good moving forward. He doesn't have midweek football, European football, like a lot of the teams at the top of the table. Isak captain, 57%. Isak triple captain, 33%. There are 10% of those watching that are looking to do something different. If you still have your triple captaincy left, use it on Isak is my suggestion. Now, the other options for triple captaincy, I want to just show the triple captaincy poll for the next few weeks. Now, this shows Isak's importance, because in 32 we always said, didn't we, it would be Isak captain. If not, you could go Mateta. In 33, Marmoush is an option. It's not likely now. He does have Everton, Aston Villa. That is confirmed. 34, you're not going to triple captain in a single game week if you can do double game week, so you could go Isak versus Ipswich, but I don't think people will. And then game week 35 is interesting because... 36 is interesting because it's a double game week again. So your options for triple captain are 32, 33, so 32 Isak, 33 Marmoush or an Arsenal like Saka. And we'll put Saka in there as an option, or 36, and you go to like a Marmoush again. I prefer Isak, guys. Consistency is king. 2 homes, informed team. That's where I think we'll be going with captaincy this week. If you've still got the triple captain, use it on Isak in 32. Generally think you can. On your way out, guys, drop a comment. I'll get back to every comment on this video. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you for another video very, very soon. Bye-bye.